When Tony Zwart's family emigrated from Holland in 1952, they began a market gardening business near Nelson. A generation on, Tony is growing orchids in unheated glasshouses, producing up to 700 blooms a week for the domestic market.
My father started a market garden here, and as he made the dollars he started building glasshouses, mainly growing vegetables to start with, and as time went by and his trips back to Europe to see his family, he started growing tomatoes and cucumbers in the glasshouse, mainly cucumbers. And then with the changes over there in the flower industry, he decided to start growing flowers here in New Zealand as well. The orchids he started in the 80s, found it was a lot easier. You'd only had to pick them once a week rather than every day. We supply a local market, basically the South Island, the florists, funeral parlours, and whoever wants to give us a ring and order some flowers. We do still sell a few through the market system through two wholesalers, but I feel that they take the cream off it really for us as well. Nelson is fairly remote as far as the freight system goes. The orchid growers in Auckland are right next to Auckland Airport, or basically, so their freight costs are just put it in your own van, take it to the airport and it's gone. For us, it's a matter of getting a courier to Auckland. I think when my father started couriering flowers to Auckland with Ansett, he paid something like $3 a carton. At the moment, we use fastway couriers and do it by road, which costs us $18 for 2 cartons, and we just can't compete.
We've got about 15,000. They're not all mature, so they're not all flowering. They take 3 years to flower from repotting, so you've always got to be thinking 3 years ahead. So we've got about 15,000, and probably about 9,000 of them are mature enough to producing good amount of flowers or good counts on flowers. We've always got a variety coming on, and we can always pick up to 700 blooms a week to sell, if not 1,000. Orchids like it cooler rather than hotter, so I mean they like the day temperature to be warm, but they also like it to be cold at nights to initiate the flowering in here. So at the moment I'm monitoring mould on the buds for the low humidity at night time, which the frost fans take care of with the air movement. I'd also be looking for yellow bud drop, would be telling me that the glasshouse is getting too hot, so I'd pull the shade cloth over. With us being cold, we're staggered, so we can basically use that variety for about 8 weeks and continuously pick it, which is good for the buyers as well, because they may like that colour. They might reorder in 2 weeks and say, have you still got this colour? Yes, we have still got it. We love this bloom. And you can work with it for 6 whole weeks rather than it being picked and done and dusted in 2 weeks compared to the heated houses. I do irrigation through the computer, through the sprinklers. It just goes through in cycles. And I also do overhead watering in the summer. High humidity is really good for them in the summer, and they say the better that you look after them in the summer, the better they'll produce flowers for you in the winter. We feed them mostly a nitrogen feed, because when they are throwing spikes, they're also throwing new growth. So you've got to support both. So we do a low nitrogen feed and a higher potassium. So we've got a strong flower, a good colour, nothing weak in the head, and easy to snap. When we pick, we don't use tools, we pick with our hands, so there's no spread of infection. This is a back bulb from a plant, one of these bulbs that you think is dead, but it's not necessarily dead. This back bulb would take a year for it to go from this stage to producing new growth like this, is a year. And then that has to turn into a bulb, much like this one here, and throw in new growth again, like this one has, before it will throw a flower. So there's a 3-year step, so it's 1 year from there to there, another year from there to there, and then another year before it'll produce a flower.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.